What's up YouTube, it's Frayed Hero here. I'm gonna deck profile my Timely deck profile. So I'm running double TikTok. This is for the combo I've mentioned in another video. If you guys want to check it out beforehand, it'll probably help you out if you don't know the combo. So it's that. 4 heals, 3 Urwatar, or your water, however you want to call him. He is there because he combos with the melon play, and it actually works decently with bind or warp drive and stuff. It's just a really nice card, and hitting stands sometimes in this deck with like a history maker is pretty cool if you can get it off. And then I'm running 4 Chrono Jet crits, 4 random assorted crits, and 1 lucky draw. Honestly though, if you want to be more smart about this, you'd probably just cut a crit for a second draw, but it's all personal preference on that. A good Vanguard would say to run the 2 draw, but clearly I play bad Vanguard, so yeah, that's up to you. Grade 1s, 4 PGGs, on flip is very important, and there's no better PG to run, honestly. And then 4 stride fodders, because this deck is stride centric and you want to stride as soon as possible. I run 3 Melons, you could run 4, depends. Sometimes they clog and they're a little awkward, but you kind of want them on your first stride, so you try to run a lot of copies of them without clogging your deck. And your grade 1 lineup is pretty tight, so that's why there's only 3, so you can have room for other things. Especially with the G-Set-7 coming out, we have a new grade 1 to play with, the box topper. I run 1 of the Chrono Jet Unflipper. You tech it because sometimes if you need to play a lot of board control against something, you're going to want to use your on-stride a lot. So you upstream into this usually, and then you can have it on your field almost guaranteed. And then 1 Itana. It's there for the timely +5s. It makes your bad lanes into hitting numbers lanes, not the best numbers. Like if you had the 8K, then you're kind of sad, or just an unboosted history maker or something. At least you're hitting for something, unless the damage triggered. So that's kind of nice. And then 1 GG because we like drawing cards. And then moving on to the grade 2s. I run 3 upstream, personally. I don't always resolve it. It's kind of situational, kind of like Melon, and I like running 3 because it'll give me an extra slot for something else I want to run. And then I run 3 history makers. I used to run 2, but it's really bad if you end up riding them and damaging them and you don't have any in deck, because it makes the Melon play a lot less potent because you want the history maker on that turn as well. It's the best thing to time leap into unless they had a damage trigger, in which case you'd just be going into like the 12k attacker or the Tom clone. Alright, and then 2 Calibum, as I mentioned, the 8k of the deck. It spins starters. It can also be comboed with time leap, so you can spin a grade 1, make them call a 0, and then time leap the grade 2, and then when it comes back at the end of turn, then you can spin back that to nothing, because you can't go below grade 0. And then 1 12k attacker, like I was talking about, it hits numbers without a booster, so it's just really nice. And then I run 1 of this specific Tom clone, which is the on-call counterblast 1 GB1, gets +2 and becomes a Tom. It's pretty solid. It hits numbers on a counterblast, and it does have the Tom effect, so if you're pushing for game, like maybe on a next stage turn, you can go into this guy, and you can stack triggers onto him, so they have the Vanguard to guard and the Tom clone to worry about. So there's that. And I personally am still running 1 Unlocker because of some guy at Off Topic Games who plays Chaos all the time. You do got to be very mindful about your soul though, because you can run out quite easily, especially with warp drive, which is why in G-Set-7 you actually run 1 of the new grade 3 that basically has the rearguard skill to soul charge, so you can actually have the soul. And then moving on to the grade 3s, of course, 4 Chrono Jets because the deck needs Chrono Jet. And I run 3 Ballin. Up to you, you could run 2, and then you can run 1 of the on-call Counterblast 1 spin a grade 1 or lower back. And as I mentioned in the G-Set 7, the new grade 3 that soul charges. So those are basically the only changes I see myself making post 7, so there's no point in me really going into that again since it comes out in like a day. I'm pretty late on uploading this, but yeah, that's basically the main deck. Like I said, you could consider dropping one of the grade 1s for the new grade 1 box topper because we like sending stuff back to our deck. And yeah, moving on to the G-Zone. Sea Breeze, because your deck can actually perform with the Counterblast 2, because you can still melon plays and stuff. You might lose out on the TikTok or the History Maker if you don't have 3 Counterblasts, but it's fine. You still can plus 2 Metallica Phoenix. It's basically your go-to Stride. It's a really good card. It enables some of your other units like Revolution and Warp Drive for more activation since it does flip a card. Plus, it, like I mentioned in the Melum TikTok plays video, there's a bunch of things you can do with that. And overall, it does just apply a lot of pressure, so you don't have to rely on next stage, which minuses you. And then I run 3 Warp Drives. So you either flip Warp Drive or you flip the Chronos command on your Stride depending on your matchup and what you think you're going to need. Warp Drive is pretty cool because you can send back basically anywhere between a grade 0 and 2 depending on how you use its skill. And it does time leap for each copy. So not much to say here. It does, like I said, I mentioned it goes really good with the Erwatar. So then you can time leap the stand into a Melem, and then Melem swing maybe, and then call up maybe your TikTok that should still be in your deck, and then you can do fun stuff like that. There's a lot of plays that Warp Drive can potentially enable you because it fixes your field and gets some on-bind skills off too. So yeah, there's a lot of things to pay attention with that. So then we're running 2 Revolutions and the 1 Chronos command. As I mentioned, you flip it with Metallica Phoenix, and then you can basically board wipe. And because you're flipping the Chronos command, you get to keep 2 rear guards. Good to note. Especially with Time Leap, you can actually make your board quite small without losing out on anything, depending on how you play it. I personally run the 1 Fate Rider. I see people running Colossus. It's like fully up to you on how you want to do that. And one really quick second. I completely forgot that my next stages were not right next to me, so I had to grab those really quickly. And that's basically going to be rounding off the strides. 2 next stages. Well, for, yeah, grade 4s that you actually stride with. 2 next stages. I don't run 4 anymore, or, yeah, I don't run 4 because you basically use it as your finisher. You shouldn't be trying to rely on it because it does minus you and G guards exist, so the GB2 of Chrono Jet is a lot less potent, so you don't want to be relying on that to win games, although it can still win games if you don't see zeros. So just be very careful about how you play next stage. It's not oh, I can just stride it when they're at 3 damage, hope to check crits, and hope to just sack them, and then do it again next turn. That's not how you're supposed to play Time Leap anyway. Which is why I'd suggest only running 2 next stages. And then moving on. 3 Ulurus and 1 Dismal. I used to run 4 Ulurus. Kinda silly. It's just really nice sending back heals and extra cards, but there are a lot of times too when you have nothing to send back to give it the extra 5k and then it's just awkward, so you can just Dismal. Or if you're playing against like the D Robo matchup or something, you have a G guard that won't be broken at least, or guard broken in that sense. So that's kind of nice. You don't really care too much about protecting your rear guards in the battle phase anyway, because they'll usually be hiding in the back row, so there's not really much to hit, and not a lot of decks on battle retire. because if not, they can just trigger it themselves when they, boost and then attack, like Voltage Horn and stuff. But yeah, that's basically the deck. I would switch up, probably, I'd consider just dropping these two and running the new not Fighters Collection, G-Set 7 G-Guard when the deck, or when the set drops tomorrow. But other than that, that's all I'd really like to say about the deck. And in case you guys are still here at this point, you guys saw my next stage in different sleeves. I'm playing a gamble here, and I'm going to be selling them so I can play the market and hope that there is a next stage reprint given the pattern we've seen so far. So you guys can either watch me crash and burn or plus off of getting rid of my next stages while they're high. And anyways, I'll catch you guys later and see you next time.